Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy first day of August. It feels wild to me that we are actually in August. Um, I always get a little anxious when August rolls around because it feels like we're counting down to um, less beach in pool time. And that is very sad for me personally. So I'm very excited that we had something so fun to look forward to today. We have two incredible authors here to celebrate a book birthday, a release day. And so this is going to be really, really fun. Please feel free to, at any point in time throughout today's event, drop comments in through whatever social media you're watching this on. Feel free to drop some comments in. Questions, all of the things. We'll make sure that gets to both of our authors so that we can have such a fun, interactive virtual event today. My name is Stephanie. I'm the director of events for The Novel Neighbor. We are a women-owned and independently operated bookstore in St. Louis, Missouri, which, as we were just discussing in the background, has like the weirdest weather situation going on ever right now. So if you're also with me in St. Louis, what a weird day, right? And I'm so glad that it kind of turned out to be a rainy day because I feel like that's the best day to snuggle up with a book. And this will get you totally in the mood to just kind of ditch whatever else you're doing. Maybe take that half day from work and snuggle up with some new releases. So without much further ado, I'm going to introduce our two incredible authors. The first one is somebody that is near and dear to so many St. Louisans' heart because she just visited us this June, and that's the incredible Annabel Monaghan. You might know her from Nora Goes Off Script, or her book that just came out this summer called Same Time Next Summer, which is an incredible beach read. Writing these love stories has probably been the most fun that she's ever had. Some people did not know this when she was here, but writing Nora Goes Off Script, she also wrote for young adults and a column for not so young adults. She originally grew up in Los Angeles, and nearly every one of her relatives still lives in Southern California. She attended Duke University, where she studied English. She has an MBA from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania and a brief history as an investment banker. We're incredibly thankful that she is no longer doing that and is giving us some incredible novels. She also used to teach novel writing at the Writing Institute at Sarah Lawrence College, and she now lives in the suburbs of New York City with her family, including a little dog who sheds. And I hope that we get to hear more about our little dog who sheds. And she's here today to celebrate the incredible Lauren Forsythe, who is coming all the way to us virtually from England. She lives in Hertfordshire with her husband and a son and a cat that gets more spoiled by the day. So lots of pets going on, which is my favorite thing to hear about from authors sometimes, aside from their books, obviously. She works in marketing, studied English and creative writing at the UEA, and spends too much time trying to work out how she can retroactively add pockets to every piece of clothing she owns. Clearly, she is after each and every one of our hearts with that comment. And she's the author of Fixer Upper, and then celebrating her book birthday today, Dealbreakers. So please welcome Annabel and Lauren.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. Lauren, I loved this book. I can't say enough about how much I loved this book. I found the chemistry and the pace of the love story and how their relationship developed to be so perfect. And then it had that under level of all those other things that we should be thinking of. And that to me is what makes a great romance book, when it's an extra thing. I'm not going to keep doing this, but I love this book. So can you just tell everybody, because today is your birthday, your book birthday, just the premise. What is the elevator pitch for this book?
Sure. So Marina, who is a developer, she is totally ready to have kids and settle down and do all that. And her boyfriend of 10 years kind of goes, actually, I didn't agree to that. So she's left on the back foot, and she decides she's going to speed the process along by developing an overlay for dating apps so that she can leave reviews on men, and other women can also leave reviews for her, so that she doesn't waste any more time. And then her work nemesis turns up after being remote for quite a long time, and she realizes he has the most deal breakers on this app of anyone, which confirms just how awful she thinks he is. Then they have to kind of compete, and she realizes, shockingly, that she may have been wrong about him.
I never saw it coming.
No, of course.
The premise of this book also says so much about how we live now and things that have always been true. Just the idea that you can be rated online for everything,
Mhm.
including what a good or bad date you are. People can make sweeping generalizations about you, and that a woman needs to have a plan for everything,
Mhm.
including, finding a guy in time to have a baby, and all of that. I loved that as a premise. Do you think this would be a good app in real life? Do you think this would be
Ooh.
something we could use?
I mean, a couple of readers have said that, but I don't know. I mean, at school when the boys like rate the girls in the class out of 10 or whatever it was that they used to do, and I hope they don't still do this. They probably do, but
I hope not.
and so I think you're kind of veering into that territory. When I came up with the concept, it was very much kind of like Marina was about the sisterhood, the idea that you could kind of almost go, hey, this guy's not for me, but he might be good for you. A collection of friends like you would play pass the parcel or
Right.
pass on something that was not for you. But yeah, I can't see the internet is not a great place. I can't see that working in real life.
My mother used to do that. She would have a bad date, and if he wasn't a horrible guy, she would introduce him to a friend, like pass the parcel. Exactly.
Did it work?
I think so. I think she had a lot of happy friends. I don't know. I just think it does stand the possibility to go largely negative, because if you really liked a guy, you're not going to go and say how wonderful he is because you want to keep him. You're
Right.
only going to report about the bad guys. So you have a day job as a marketing executive.
Mhm.
Did that inform this book? I mean, what kind of are you doing digital marketing?
Yeah, I'm a content marketer, but it did because I work for a comparison site, so everything is about reviews.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of where it came from. And I think, both this and the Fixer Upper are kind of very in the digital world to an extent. So I do think that kind of influences that. And also I just kind of wanted to write a girl coder. I feel like we need more of them.
We sure do. Do your colleagues read your books?
I don't know. They celebrate very loudly on publication day, which is very sweet.
Okay.
I think I don't know how I'd feel. If they have, they haven't told me, which is great.
All right.
Buy it, but don't tell me about it. I think that's okay.
So you do content marketing for work. Did you do a lot of research about these dating apps? Are you on the dating apps?
No, I don't think my husband would be happy about that.
I had to ask. I don't know
No,
how
it's,
things are.
it's good for research. No, I mean, I actually I met my husband before, not before dating apps, but as that was kind of happening.
Right.
So I never actually have been on a dating app, which is kind of terrible if you're writing a book about them. But different housemates, when I lived with one of my best friends, and I remember her going through it and kind of like looking at it and kind of going through the process of going on dates with these people and just trying to time it where you didn't talk for too long, because if too many weeks passed, then you were too invested, but then you met them and had no chemistry and that was a waste. But then if you didn't spend enough time, you missed something, you missed a deal breaker, you missed a red flag, and that was a waste of time as well. And also getting tired of going out for meals or going out for drinks, and just you want to be at home in your pajamas. So it was like a job. Like it was an investment of time that just seemed exhausting.
It is sort of like a job. And it's funny how for women, if you want to become a doctor, there are 10 steps that you go through to become a doctor. But if you want to become a married woman with a baby, uh, there really aren't those steps that you can take.
I think the book is a real lesson in control, because you can be in control of your career. You can be in control of so much of your life. And that's kind of, I am a little bit of a Marina in that. I am a bit type A. I like things how I like them. I like to be in control. I like to be busy. But some things depend on other people
Right.
and timing and, luck.
Right. And it's such an important thing. Who you end up with is such an important thing. And we are so programmed to learn our way into results.
Yeah.
And really all it takes is just getting on a train and seeing the guy sitting next to you. And, by the time you arrive, you're in love. I mean, that's how it happens in books. It's nothing you can plan for. And I love the way you touch on that in this book. Um, Speaking of dating, I was just trying to write a date scene. And because I'm 100 years old, the date was we go to a restaurant and we eat a meal and we have a glass of wine. Like, for me, that's a perfect date.
Yeah.
And my editor said, "That is not a fun date." I'm like, "No, that's fun. Trust me, that's my kind of date." She said, "No, they need to do a fun activity."
Oh.
And so I started Googling fun activities, and then I remembered your book. I mean, you had the project that they're going on, that the rivals are competing with, is they're trying to find the best dates in the city, right?
Yeah.
And so how did you come up with all those dates? Axe throwing?
Yeah. Um, so funnily enough, that opened an axe throwing place opened near me. And I really wanted to do it just because it felt like a little bit aggressive. I like a little bit, you know. Also, I like the idea that someone thought, hey, you know what I'll do? I'll open an axe throwing place and a bar. I'm gonna get people drunk and then have them throw sharp objects at things.
I mean, the insurance on that.
I
I mean,
just
I just can't imagine.
it is very expensive to go, which is why I haven't done it yet. So I guess maybe that's why.
Huh.
um so yeah, that was one of, I mean, I'm the same as you. I am desperate for, I mean, I love a nice meal and a nice glass of wine, you know, and one glass of wine will do fine, thank you.
Oh, and then you get home in time to watch Dateline.
Well, yeah, it's, you know,
That's a perfect night for me.
me and my husband are, you know, planning this evening whether we can watch an episode of TV at the same time before one of us passes out. Like, that's there's a reason I put a lot of effort into like the chemistry of this book and the romance, because it's exhausting. So
It is exhausting. Can we talk a little bit about your stage of life, actually, just about just thinking of the romance? So you have a 1-year-old child,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
1.5.
you wrote this book when he was 3 months old?
Yeah, I was looking back because I think I did it in a bit of a fugue state. I can't really remember it. But I've seen a lot of my pictures on Instagram of like a screen next to a little baby. Um, and so I clearly did do, I looked back today and I was like, oh, 11th of January. Yeah, okay. Like, he was born on the 22nd of December. So I started, I clearly started planning in January, and I think I started writing properly in yeah, 3 months in.
I can't fathom this. I mean,
I
I can't was there any part of you at any moment that thought, "Maybe I won't write this book?"
Oh yeah. I mean, I on one hand, I think it was something that really connected me back to being me. So, you know, it's so easy to lose yourself in being a parent and this whole new kind of world. I'm also very much about being efficient and being busy and being like doing things, which being an exhausted parent is not really, you know, you need to sleep, you need to nap.
Right.
um, so I did feel like at least if I wrote a sentence one-handed with a baby in my arm, like I was doing something, I was achieving something, I had something that was mine, that I could work towards. But it was not good. Like, the first draft was, again, like a woman whose idea of romance was, you know, sleeping or not being touched or being able to pee by herself. Like, you know,
Yes, yes, look at me, I took a full shower.
yeah, it was very low standards.
Were you on a maternity leave from your real job
Yeah,
when you were doing
yeah.
this?
So yeah, I went on maternity leave for 6 months. So part of me was kind of like, I got to finish this book before I get back to work as well. So I like a bit of pressure. Maybe this was a little too much, but I do like a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think that if you talk to most writers, they will tell you that they have had big chunks of time in their lives when they could have written and they didn't.
Mhm.
And sometimes the constraint of a deadline, or, sometimes it feels a little bit like a gun to your head that you
Yeah.
have to get something done, forces you to focus and move forward. I've been in that situation before. I've just never been in that situation before where I'm sleep deprived and my hormones are crazy. And I mean, that is really that you're like a hero. A hero among writers. It's amazing.
I think I'm just insane. Like, I don't know
No, for
how
sure.
that.
For sure. No, I'm here to diagnose you. That's nuts. On top of that, it was also your second novel. And, we're always, your first book was so great. Everybody loved The Fixer Upper so much. So the expectation here was that this book was going to be really wonderful. And you nailed it. Thank God. Um, but did you have time to freak out about that with all
Oh,
this other stuff going on?
oh yeah. Oh no, always time to freak out about things. Yeah. Especially again, being up in the middle of the night, thinking about, getting this book done, or maybe being too exhausted to type or whatever, and you're looking at reviews, and I shouldn't have looked at the reviews, but it was this time last year that Fixer Upper came out. So I don't normally look. I wouldn't have looked. People share reviews and that's great, and I appreciate it. But reviews are for reviewers and are for readers, and it's not something you should subject yourself to, I don't think, if you want to have a generally positive mental health state and be able to write.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
what I did do was I took from reviews of The Fixer Upper what some people felt was missing a little bit, and and I think that was the chemistry. Like, I really lent into the nostalgia in The Fixer Upper. That was kind of my big thing. And also I listened to a lot of Taylor Swift. It was very nostalgic.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm alone in not being able to get blooming tickets, but yeah.
Right.
But so with Dealbreakers, I kind of knew I wanted to up the ante a little bit with the back and forth. I wanted to play a bit more with the enemies to lovers trope. I love that. I've always loved that when I read it. So I kind of knew I wanted to up the chemistry and those sort of romantic moments that they got to have together. So yeah, it is a lot of pressure with the second book. But I kind of took it as an opportunity to kind of go, okay, I've taken some really good stuff here. Let me write the stuff I love to write and the stuff I love to read, and see where that takes me.
That is fascinating. I've never heard somebody taking something away from a review, an Amazon review or whatever, that actually helped them write a better book. I don't read them at all, because I think that if I sat and read bad reviews all day, I would never write again.
Mm-hmm.
If I read good reviews all day, I would turn into a monster.
Yeah.
I don't think other people's opinions of you are really any of your business.
No. And also it's so
apart.
personal, right? Like, it's, and there's always someone who'll be like, hey, like, there'll be someone who's kind of leaves a review, they're like, I think they should have done this. And it's like, that's an entirely different story. If you'd written that book, it would have done that. Sure, yeah, that's great. But I think that, there were a couple of times where I kind of went, yeah, fair point. Yeah, okay. Actually, it wasn't negative necessarily, but it was kind of like, okay, here's a place to start on the map. And I kind of thought, where can I take that in a way that I'm going to enjoy it?
And did you enjoy it? I mean, when you're writing the kind of book you want to read, you generally are enjoying the ride.
Yeah, I think, definitely not the first draft. Like, once we were out of the crazy, baby stage and we were into the editing properly stage, yeah, I could read it back and go, like, I'll laugh at something and be like, yeah, okay, like, this isn't crap. I'm okay with this.
My favorite part of the writing process is the "this isn't crap" part.
Yeah.
Just that one paragraph where you're like, wow, this isn't crap.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is okay.
Everything's going to be okay. I don't know. It's lunchtime here. I don't know if it's okay to talk about sex, but I just wanted to say, you write a closed door romance. I write a closed door romance. And it's basically, the reason I do it is because it's all I know. I just would not know how to put body parts in places. I literally just, I black out when I think about it, writing that. Is this a decision editorially for you? Is it a personal decision? Is it the way you like to read? Where does that come from?
Oh, no, yeah, I definitely read a lot of spicy stuff and like fantasy, fairies shagging all over the place stuff. I'm very happy to read that. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I English
say whatever you want.
That was okay. So no, I've got no problem with spice. I just feel cringe writing it. I've done some other writing when I was younger, and I kind of, I did write. What was it? I wrote something, and my hairdresser told me that like she'd read it and then taken her husband upstairs and like, and I think after that I was just like, firstly I have to change my hairdresser, and now like this has ruined my life. Like, why did you tell me this? So after that, no more writing sex scenes, no more people that you know, like people that you know thinking they have an insight into what happens in your own bedroom because of what you've written, like that.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And then if you write enough of them and it always sort of goes the same way, you've given people a lot of information.
Yeah. And then do you feel like you have to start writing things that feel, you know, like how crazy do you get? Are we getting into those books where they, you know, what's it? There's that whole genre of like having sex with Bigfoot or whatever. Like,
Oh no, dragons.
yeah. So yeah, it's just been something, and I know, you know, especially books that do so well on TikTok, which is the big thing in publishing right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's sexy books, and it's a skill. It's a skill to write a great sex scene, but it's just
Really
something.
is. I just read one. The author is almost positive it was Devin Daniels.
Oh,
And her book is coming out. I think it's coming out in 6 months or a year. But I read that and I thought, wow, that mastic sex. Like she knows how to do that. And other times I will read a really explicit love scene and I'll think, I don't know if this person's ever had sex before. 'Cause I don't think that happens. I don't know. I
I'm
get
just
it.
like, are you not tired now? Like, does this not all seem a bit exhausting for you? Like, I
But
mean,
I
the
was
one,
happy to learn that there's more than one way to do it.
yeah,
That you don't have to, not it. I mean, that you don't have to show all the things. You can just
yeah,
sort of give the feeling of it. I was kind of relieved to find that out.
yeah. I mean, I did, and I've been, you know, to my agent and to my editors being like, "Oh, people gonna read this if I don't like. Do you need me to do? Do you need me to do it? I can do it. I can try." And they're like,
Yeah,
"No, you don't have to like write things that you're uncomfortable with." I think, to be fair, when it comes to the sex scenes that I don't think work, it's not always the physical stuff. Often it's the tone of the character changes. Like you'll have this like really well-to-do guy who speaks very nicely and is very, you know, is reserved and whatever. And then suddenly he's all like, oh baby, you're like, call me daddy or whatever. And you're like, this is not,
yeah.
there is a consistency issue here. I know like some things are behind closed doors, but it's more that annoys
I
me.
agree. I agree because the rest of the book leading up to the sex is the foreplay,
Hmm.
right? So we're getting a sense of who these people are. And if the sex doesn't match, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I do tend to sort of skip it. I think
Yeah.
it
So I
kind of,
get a single spice. Do you see these on Instagram where you get, however many stars out of 5
oh yeah.
story, and then a chili pepper for how spicy your book is. And one time someone gave me 2 chili peppers
Oh.
and I thought, wow, maybe this is the priest at my church. Like I don't know who would ever think this was 2 out of 5 chili peppers, but it's
I don't think I've ever had a chili pepper yet. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll see. You'll see. You got good chemistry in this story. So you said you're a little bit of a control freak.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, and do you put that into your stories and exaggerate it through your characters, or do they just come across just like you?
Oh, no. They're definitely exaggerated, I'd say.
Okay.
I mean, I think I am a workaholic, which I think a lot of writers are, because you got to fit things in and you got to kind of get it done.
Also, the work is fun.
Yeah, you want to be hanging out in your own head
Yeah.
sometimes. So yeah, I think like Marina I pushed a lot of things with her. Yeah, I think with all of them, I've pushed them to be bigger and sort of. I think it would be very tiring to be Marina in real life.
Yeah.
So I do not have the commitment to her high standards that but so I think, you know, I think that's with everything though, isn't it? You kind of dial it up in the book from real life just to give it a little bit more well, further to fall, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. But your book does say a lot about standards, and
Mm.
somehow, we should develop these high standards and then burn them to the ground.
Well, that's such a good way of putting it. I mean, this is the thing I grappled with as I wrote it, and I'm sure that kind of came through, is that I don't want to tell anyone not to have high standards, or that they deserve to be, deserve to have everything they want, because so many people settle for less, and that's not
Right.
what you want at all. So I don't want this love story to be about, oh, you know what, you're too picky, which is what most women who haven't met someone of a certain age or whatever get told, that they're too picky.
Right, of course.
But on the other hand, we're so structured and set into, like, and I'm the same, like, it's even my friends who are all at that kind of in their early 30s or mid 30s, and they're kind of deciding whether they are having kids, or if they're not, or if they, what they're going to do with their lives, or and they feel like they have to make this decision now, or they have to plan the next 3 years, or we do get, I know the US is slightly different in terms of like maternity and things like that, but you have to plan. If you're gonna have a kid, you've got to plan to make sure you've got enough money to survive for however many months, and then you've still got a career to go back to, and that you're gonna, like,
I think it's the same in the US. I think you have to do all that.
We get a little bit here. I think we might be a little bit better off. I don't know. It depends how good your job is, I guess.
Yeah.
But so everything is about planning, and actually it takes a lot of the joy out of things. If you're so worried about what the next step is, you're not looking at what's happening now. And I kind of think that's more what it came out at, rather than lower your standards.
Yeah, no, it's not lower your standards. It's also having a bigger idea of what you want. Like, if you want exactly this kind of a guy, that's probably not what you want. You probably want to feel the way you're going to feel around that kind of a guy. And that doesn't have to be exactly that guy. I don't know that many people who actually end up married to someone who's their type.
Yes.
You always end up, I always dated a certain kind of guy, and then I married my husband. And he's not like that guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you have to leave a little room for the magic to happen.
Yeah, that was part of it, where, when I met my husband, if he, he was very unexpected to me. He was not, I kind of didn't agree to go on a date for a while, because I was like, this is not my kind of person. Like, what would we even talk about? And turns out, like, yeah, okay.
I love that.
That's my person.
I mean, that's the stuff that romance novels are made of. Like, right? That's the thing.
Yes, consistently coming into a coffee shop and annoying the barista for 5 months. Yes, that is
exactly. While you're complaining about the other person you're dating. So, speaking of which, so you love the enemies to lovers trope. What's your second favorite?
Ooh.
To read.
I mean, I'm on and off with the best friends, because sometimes it feels like I want to be like, no, people can be friends. So there's like key bits. Like, I love a shared bed trope. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's so stupid.
Till the end of time. Like, I don't care where this bed is or who they are. I'm there.
You know what's so funny about that trope is that doesn't happen.
No.
Sometimes enemies fall in love.
Yeah.
Sometimes best friends fall in love. Sometimes you meet a guy from Hollywood and he loves you in spite of your dumpy self. But you are never in a situation where you have to share a bed with some guy.
No.
It just doesn't happen. And I love it. I also love the fake dating one.
Oh,
also
yes.
never happens. Oh,
Yes.
Pretend to be my fiance for the family wedding. No, that never in the history of time has happened.
No, although I did read about an actual business where you can hire a bridesmaid. Like, this person just goes and pretends to be a bridesmaid at your wedding if you don't have enough people to like make the look work or whatever.
This was a movie with that cute guy. He was her wedding date. Maybe it was the movie was
called The Wedding Date. Love that one.
Yeah. Okay, but that's not real life. But you're saying this is a real business.
This is like a real business where she just pretends she's a bridesmaid. She's a professional bridesmaid.
Wow.
And so she has to like learn. And when you're like, oh, how did you meet? How do you know the bride? And she has to have a whole backstory. I'm like, this is cool.
Wow. That woman's paying a karmic debt. That sounds terrible. That's like the worst job, to be a bridesmaid over and over again. It says on your website that you are a trained therapeutic writing professional. What does that mean? Those are the coolest 4 words I've ever seen.
It's yeah. So I've got a master's in creative writing for therapeutic purposes, which is also a bit of a mouthful. So what it is like art therapy and dance therapy and like everything. Every art has a therapy attached, and it's just basically about how you can use creative writing to feel better. And I had been looking like I kind of felt like this was a thing for a really long time, and I just never really saw anything about it. And then I found this course, yeah, so I sort of did this master's. It was what was it, 1 weekend a month over 2 years, I think, in London. So, and then I
Did you use it? Did you teach?
Yeah, so I ran workshops. I used to run workshops at festivals in the summer anyway, and I used to run workshops for children teaching creative writing. So I kind of pulled that all together. And then I did a research project working with young women with eating disorders to see if how we could use creative writing in a positive way to sort of equip them with a toolbox for when they were feeling low about themselves. So we, did stuff about switching perspectives and writing from, in the eating disorder community, like they refer to Anna as like anorexia as a person. So how do you write Anna? What is, and how do you write, if you were going to fight Anna, who would you be? How would you create them? So yeah, we did a lot. And yeah, I think it didn't solve things, but I think it gave a lot of sort of tools to some very creative women to kind of use in their daily life, hopefully.
Oh, I think that's amazing. I find, writing and just in my life to be completely therapeutic in a way that I never intend. Do you find that while you're writing, you're working through some of your stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think having, especially when you've got characters to move around and play and you have things you want to say, I think things come out. But like I always write, I do excuse me. Like I always write 5 things I'm grateful for in the morning, and just like little things here and there. Or if I'm feeling really low or I'm feeling crappy and I know I'm bringing other people down, I get a little fresh page and I fill the page with all the things I'm looking forward to. So it can be like all the stuff I'm looking forward to doing with my son, or like holidays I want to go on. It can be things that are never going to happen or going to happen in a really long time when I make a lot of money and can go to these fancy places. But writing can really give you a change in perspective. And I think sometimes it's our responsibility to kind of harness that.
Oh, I think that's just amazing. I think it's so true. And I think it gives you, the practice that you have, the gratitude practice and the writing things that you're looking forward to actually gives you a black and white way to know what you want. Sometimes like, if I gave you $1 million, you'd be like, oh, I have $1 million. And then you don't necessarily know what it is that's supposed to do for you.
Yeah.
Or how it's going to make you happy. Are you ever surprised when you read back your books, after it's too late to change anything, that you've revealed something about yourself?
Oh yeah. There's things that I've said or my friends have said, or like quotes from things and just stuff I hadn't realized I've picked from our lives. And it's usually like a throwaway random phrase, or it's something that a friend used to say when we were kids, or like it's odd stuff that kind of worms its way in, because I guess it's just sort of living there and kind of finds a way out while you're writing.
And we shouldn't be surprised, right? It's all in your head. It's all in your subconscious, and you're sitting there by yourself typing. And it's what we know. I am sometimes mortified. I'll read a book that I wrote and I'll think, oh God, who's reading this? They know what happened. But I'm never aware of it in the moment while I'm writing.
No, I think it's so easily done as well. And yeah, it's accidental. But that's why writing is so revealing as well. Like even being distant, I don't think you can really separate author from the work a lot of the time, because so much of our like ourselves is in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so easy to say, oh, you know, they're rom-coms, or they're, you know, they're not big heavy things, but you know, you still put your heart and soul into them.
No, you do, and there's weight to yours, which is what, when I think of rom-com, becomes great. You know, I think you say this on your website, that you like to write love stories that are actually about something else. Um, that makes people connect to it, because there are only so many times you can see people fall in love and then separate and then come back together again.
Yeah.
I like the way you put weight in your stories, so that then that's why the characters sort of stay with us.
Yeah, I never really wanted it to just be that love solves the problem, but I do think I tend to. I mean, I don't know who said it, where they say they're, you know, you're writing the same book over and over, right? Like, so every time I write a book, I am writing about someone who is struggling with vulnerability. Both of my female characters cannot be vulnerable for anything,
Right.
and it expresses in different ways. It's still, but you know, that love can be strength instead of weakness, and that sharing can be, you know, not exposing. So I think I'm still exploring the same storyline in both books, or in all books, but
I always like for a heroine to solve her own problem before the guy comes back, because there's something, and I think it's more of an old-fashioned romance thing, where the woman meets the man leaves, the woman is in the fetal position, the man comes back, and now everything's okay.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy, because to me, like, what are we telling our daughters when we hand them that story? You know, you need to go out and score a guy.
Yeah, no, you've got to save yourself first, and then
Yes.
you know, everything else is a cherry on top. But I can, you know, yeah, I've never found that appealing. I don't find the being rescued.
The Cinderella thing it doesn't stand up. It doesn't, Cinderella works as a story. She does not connect as a character, because she doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's nothing there. She's nice as a mice. I mean, you know.
Nice as a mice. Your life makes me like really tired. Like, I want to take a nap. So are you currently going to work every day, coming home to a 1-year-old person, and also writing another book? Are all those things happening, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm also starting a business. I know. No, I don't work. I work compressed hours, so I have Thursdays off with my son.
Thursdays. Okay. You've got plenty of time.
And Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
So yeah, but I mean, that's always the way I've done it. I've always, you know, written in lunch breaks and late at night. I also don't go out as much anymore, so those kind of evenings. I mean, I was going to take a little break from writing for a while. I was kind of going to let things settle, and kind of, I think sometimes it's so easy to get kind of swept up in writing to market, and what are people reading, and what people want to read. And I kind of, for a while, got a bit lost in, like, I didn't really know what I wanted to write anymore, because I kind of it was so loud with what the market wanted. And you know, you want to be the writer who writes well and does well. And I mean, who doesn't want to be Emily Henry, really? Just keep batting them out.
I do.
Just keep writing excellent books.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already on your way there. I mean, look at you with your amazing tour and your wonderful books.
Thank you. Thank you. But no, I think you have to write the book that you want to write. And I have seen people just over, you know, decades, that I know, trying to write what the thing is that's at the moment, you know. And if it's the vampire moment that we're having, and you're writing your vampire book, it's too late.
Yeah, you've got the year to 2 years of getting it out there, and then so yeah. And of course, the minute I decided I was going to take a little break, the idea comes banging on the door. So
Can you tell us anything about your idea?
So I set it in New York, which is unusual. About a British woman in New York. And it's kind of set in the art world, and it's to do with community, and there's lots of crazy people brought together by kind of they're heartbreak stories. So yeah, I love a community story. I love kind of all these wacky people being brought together in a situation that you wouldn't normally see them. So, and how you make friends that seem a bit odd and different to you.
That is so great. Have you spent time in New York? Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Will you come back to New York to market this book?
That would be great. I am desperate to come over again. Yeah, no, I used to. My friend lives there. Most of my friends live in San Francisco, but one of them moved to New York, so then I get to do a bit of jumping around. But yeah, I haven't been back. I went there about 4 years ago. 4 years ago. I don't know. Everything is kind of pre-COVID and post-COVID. I've lost all sense. But I got engaged there, and then that was nice.
But you were here enough to get a sense for writing what New York's like, and
yeah, I mean, I keep travel notebooks as well when I'm walking around, and like just being that annoying person.
I love it.
I think you need to come back and do some market research, Lauren.
Yeah,
do clearly some book research. You need to do. I don't know. It feels like you need a visit to New York again.
You don't have to tell me. I'm convinced.
I think one of my favorite things that happened during that interview was your shy face admitting to Annabel that you're starting a business on top of everything else that you're doing, which is wild. We had a question in the comments. Can you tell what your business is about yet, or what it will be?
Oh yeah. It's just bringing both things together. So marketing for mid-level authors who feel like they need a little bit of support, because if you don't know how to do it yourself, maybe your publisher hasn't got the resources for you, then it's just about kind of helping you know what to ask for and then how to do it yourself. So I'm very excited. I'm trying to set up in February a romance book pop-up locally to me with like like a little just romance books in a little pop-up, and like some workshops and stuff. So
that is so fantastic.
Yeah, it's not been easy so far, but I'm still very full of enthusiasm.
I don't think anything you're doing is so easy, but that is something that nearly every writer I know would be interested in. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's really hard if you don't know. I think we learn a lot about the writing world from books and movies and TV, which looks very like, oh, I got a book deal and suddenly I'm on TV and suddenly, I'm on Oprah's book list, and like it all just seems to...
Wait, that's not how it goes?
Yeah.
I was sure that's what I was doing next week.
So I think there's a lot of disappointment if you didn't know what you were getting into and you didn't realize this. I mean, I guess it's like we've been talking about control and vulnerability. Like you hand a lot of control over when you've written your book. You have very little control over how it does once you've written it, which is really hard when you've put your soul into something. So yeah, the idea was to help more writers feel empowered to kind of how to talk about their book and how to get it out there.
It's also awkward, and I know this because I do it every day. It's awkward to ask people to read a book that you wrote. I mean, would you give me a full day of your life?
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my nonsense? Like just the awkwardness between author and reader. Like, and you just want to say, it might be terrible. I don't know. You might like it. I don't know. It's really hard.
That's really cool that you're starting that, Lauren. I feel like we talk to authors all the time and to readers, and maybe some of them are watching too, who like, I think publishing is really glamorized by other media, and you kind of hinted at this earlier when you and Annabel were talking too, of like that it becomes very much like what is trending and like what is TikTok asking for. I know several authors have been told to like get on TikTok by their publisher, and like we've talked a couple times where I'm like, I don't know that you actually have to be on TikTok. You have to find your reader on TikTok.
Yes.
And like if making video content is not like fun for you, is like, and is not like a thing that helps you and instead like is taking away from writing, then just find like some influencers that your book is like the right book for, and they can make video content for you if it like does hit for them, and like that's just as I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like conversation happening there. And I'm like, we can break down the TikTok conversation a little bit more than just like everybody has to be on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure none of my readers want to see me on TikTok. Like, this is my dog. Like, I mean, no, we're not doing that. But if you can find somebody to talk about my books, that would be great.
Okay. Oh, now a question for both of you that came through that I think is really interesting. All these questions are interesting. I did not mean to make it sound like one is more interesting than the other, but I think this is a really fun question to hear both of you talk about. Is that like at certain points in your stories, whether it's because it's an enemies to lovers trope, or because we're getting the backstory and same time next summer, Annabelle, like how do you skirt the line of writing a male character without making him like too unlikable, like that we as a reader, he can never be redeemed for us, or we can never see him as the like final love interest? How do you skirt that line by like making a complicated story and like having something that really draws us in as to like why are they not together, or why have they always been like enemies, while still allowing us to get to the end result of wanting them to be together as a couple?
It's such a good question. Lauren, I'd be interested to hear what you say, because Lucas, I thought, wow, this guy is the worst. And I want him. Like, I thought that immediately. You did that so well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's such a hard line to walk. And I think I did have to like pare him back a little bit, because I think, yeah, I had a line in there at one point and my editor was just like, he would not, like, who would say this? This is so offensive. Like, this is so rude. Like, I think he'd interrupted her in the office or he'd said something and he was just like, no. And I was like, no, yeah, I mean, don't underestimate. People are assholes. Like, I mean, like you can get away with being pretty sassy in the work environment if you think you're being, if some guy thinks he's being funny. I think, yeah, it's a line. And I think it's a very personal to the reader. So I think a lot of people might be like, nah, this is too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find I read a lot of books where I kind of go, oh, okay, I'm gonna, like, if this was real life, it's like, I mean, I may marry you later, but I will hold this against you until our 20th wedding anniversary. Like, at that time you said that thing to me, I'm remembering that. So I think it's kind of, yeah, it's a balancing act. He has to have redeemable features. He has to, it's that line of like, is this person rude or are they shy? Which is like a natural, that's a thing in real life where I spend a lot of time being like, are you rude or are you shy? And, people are awkward in real life. I'm very awkward. And, spend hours later thinking, that thing I said, did that sound bad? Yeah, that did sound bad. That wasn't what I meant. So I guess as long as you can give that insight that either the character's having that moment or might be aware that they are a bit much and try to make up for it in other ways, that's kind of how I would do it. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
That was a great
I want to hear what
I love that. I love it. I would rather write awkward than anything else. If I could write a whole book about awkward people, it's my favorite. That's
like, a great title.
What was it?
Awkward People. That would be a great book.
Stephanie, write that down.
Got it.
On that. I would just say that if you're going to have somebody in a book do a thing, like you're going to have somebody like Wyatt take off, what helps is if you know him really well, if you've already fallen in love with him and you understand where he's coming from. But in some stories, you have to give all that later. So you have to see the bad behavior and hope that your reader is going to stick around and forgive them later with the backstory that sort of softens it up a little bit.
And that's what you did so well in Nora Goes Off Script, because it was just like, okay, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason.
Leo. That jerk. Yes, it all worked out.
It always works out. That's why we love romance. We always get our happy ever after.
Yes.
Okay, last audience question, and then we're going to do a fun little speed round of this or that's that I've been accruing based off of your conversation that you had. So see how many callbacks we have during that. But a reader is wondering how much say you have over your cover and or your titles. And that's for both of you.
Should I go first? Okay. I kept both my titles, which was surprising.
I've kept 0 of my titles.
Right?
I'm 0 for.
So when we sold the Fixer Upper to my publisher, they were like, we love it, we really love it, we're probably going to have to change the name because there's a show in the US called Fixer Upper, which we don't have, so I didn't realize. I mean, we have similar stuff, but it's not called that. But yeah, so and then they didn't change it, so that was fine. Occasionally I do get people looking for like, yeah, the life story of the people who are on Fixer Upper, but I was surprised. And then yeah, Dealbreakers, it kind of, I'm starting to like this kind of like very short to the point kind of, they felt like they matched, which I quite liked.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect title for this book. Maybe that's the secret to succeeding with titles, is just start with a good title. I had that Nora Goes Off Script was originally called The Tea House, which is the name of the film that she writes, and everyone hated it and said that it sounded like the whole thing took place in China, and that it was
in the
book. So I was like, okay. So then Same Time Next Summer was originally called Meet Me at the Beach. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Carly Fortune, but she wrote a book that came out the month before mine called Meet Me at the Lake. So we had to change that to Same Time Next Summer. So I'm not doing great.
I think it's still working for you.
It's still working.
It's still
I think people find it really confusing. I see on Instagram a lot, people will hold up my book and say, I love this book, Same Time Next Year, or This Time Next Summer. I think people are a little confused about the title, but it's.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's fine. It's fine.
You bought it. Thank you.
No, you know what? They know what they're reading. Yeah. Okay. First question is more like a pop culture. I realized I said that these were all accrued during your conversation. Slight lie. This first one is more just a thing that's happening of the moment. But I'm unclear, Lauren, if it's happening of the moment in the UK. So this will really reveal a lot. Barbie versus Oppenheimer. Have you seen either of them or both of them? And what did you think?
I'm going to see Barbie on Thursday, so I am excited. But
her hair is perfect for Barbie.
Yes, it wasn't for that, but although last month I did try and do this a couple of months ago and I didn't get it light enough, and it was red just in time for The Little Mermaid to come out. So everyone now thinks I'm like theming my hair every time a new movie becomes big.
Well, I'm just glad you have a way to fill your time. I know you don't have a lot to do, so it's good that you can just have a hobby like this. Unbelievable. I've seen neither movie. I feel like just somebody who lives on the moon. I haven't been to a movie since the Queen movie came out. I mean, it's been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. Annabelle.
I know. And I don't have a baby or another job. I'm just writing books, talking nonsense. Like, that's all I do. And I'm busy. So.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Did you see Barbie?
I've seen both of them.
Did you
on the same day? Yeah.
I did not pull a full Barbieheimer. I did see them in the same weekend. Scheduling, we could not like manage to do it in one day at the same theater. But I've actually seen Barbie twice. It's fine. I apparently have many hobbies, and they're not my job. I'm spending too much time outside of my job to see. So very curious to hear your thoughts afterwards. I'm sure. Well, I think Barbie is, I actually think they're both really good movies. And
I think there's a 0% chance that I don't love both of them. Like,
yeah.
I don't, just from what I'm reading, but.
I was really surprised by how much I've seen the jokes that there's like crossover, or that like, you think about death and like, then it's like an advertisement for like somebody like making a meme about Barbie. And then I do feel that there is like a really good Venn diagram where we just like cross over, and it's like irrepressible thoughts of death. Really just a big theme in both of these movies. So society's doing great.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Okay. This came up earlier. Taylor Swift album. What is the album that you're most likely to write to? Or what album would you like people to know that you care about the most? I think, Lauren, you were lamenting that you don't have Taylor Swift tickets.
No, I'm still on the wait list. Yeah, me and my friend are going to go So she's playing at Wembley. So we're gonna go hang out outside and like get lunch and just listen. That's the closest.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, there's no standing and getting squished, and like maybe this is just my life now. That's okay. Yeah, sorry.
I love that one where the song's called 15, the one from a really long time ago. It's almost her second album. It's not Teardrops on My Guitar, but it's the one after that. I don't know what the name of the album is, but the song is 15 and The Best Day and maybe our song.
Lie. Which
I think it was the year you were born, Stephanie. I think
the
that's
Fearless album. It was not the year I was born. Get out of here.
But that was
Nicole, your publicist, I think, is saying, speak now. Nicole is tapping in here with some Taylor Swift feedback.
Okay. Nicole, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Nicole.
Jasmine's on here. She's a Swiftie beyond.
And the bookstore is probably like screaming at the screen because we're a big Swiftie bookstore. I was like, I want to make sure we didn't lie. Lauren, what album? Are you that album too, or which?
No, I'm probably I came to the group late. So probably
Confession, Lauren.
probably Folklore. Yeah, I think I get that and Evermore confused because they came out close. But like
you have to. You're allowed to have
yeah, but they match. They're basically the same thing. But yeah, I did write a lot of the Fixer Upper to. I mean, and actually both of them, I made little Spotify playlists, and most of them are just Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. I love that.
Do you listen to music when you write, Lauren?
No, not really. I listen to stuff in the car, have lots of thoughts, and then I get home and later on write that.
Right. Same.
Okay, we were talking a little bit about tropes earlier, so I pulled out some tropes that I don't believe that were mentioned to see what your preference is between these two. So, would you choose fake dating or right person, wrong time?
Fake dating.
Fake dating all day.
Wow.
I love fake dating. It's my favorite kind of dating.
Will you ever write us fake dating, Annabelle?
Yes. Next.
Yeah.
Well, 2025 next, but I think so.
But next. No, it counts.
And every time I think about it, I get so excited. It's the dumbest trope, but I love it.
I love a good fake dating trope. I also love right person, wrong time. But that one's a little bit harder to pull off. I feel like you have to like really.
Give me an example.
So I would say, have we ever read the Josie Silver book? It happened, or not it happened. Oh my gosh, the December
one
book.
they're making a movie into. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know why I'm having such a
I can see the cover.
One Day in December. I was like, it's one of my favorite books of all time. Basically, like they're always in each other's like that one's kind of like they're always in each other's life, but it's never like the right time for them to be dating. But you kind of have like the pining happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it can also kind of cross over with Second Chance, depending on how it's written.
Is it like Pam and Jim in The Office?
Oh yeah, I think that would count.
Right? Like she's engaged, but then
yeah.
And then he leaves.
But that's why it's hard to pull off. Well, and I think that's a perfect example of like it's hard to pull off because you can't also like sometimes if they're pining for the other person while they're with somebody, like you have to have the pining, but if they're with somebody else, then you can just be like, they're a jerk. They're like emotionally cheating on their partner. So it's like a real tough, tough situation.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen as I mean, it's a British show called Love Life. But it's kind of done in a similar way where like they're friends and they kind of got together once and then it's told over like a long period of time where they keep missing each other. And it's really great, but also like you get to that like 75% mark and you're just like, you know what, just give up. just you've both met nice people, just like you're fine, just leave this now, like you've messed up enough lives, just
that's the risk.
Oh well, and I would say When Harry Met Sally.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
like we get that over, but like you have to pull that off where like they're married at different times throughout that and you can't be, it's rough. Anyways, okay. which this is a great final question. We just had a question come through, so this can be great. What are you reading right now that you would like to recommend to readers?
I can go first. Okay. I just read Lizzie Dent, The Sweetest Revenge, and
It's so good. It's so good. It makes me want to punch her in the face.
Yeah, right. You just read it and you're like, I wish I'd written this, and I hate.
No, that's exactly what I thought. As soon as I finished, I thought, oh.
She is so good at like putting her characters through the emotional ringer. She does not hold back. Like she will make them the biggest laughing stock. She will torture them.
Yeah.
And like I always hold back a little bit. Where I'm like, oh my baby, like I can't let you, it's like torturing yourself. But no, she's like right in there, like go on.
I think that's so well said. In all of her books, she is unafraid. She's just unafraid, and it just, she lands on her feet every single time. It's so good. I've just started The Apology, which came out today. And that's by Jim Han. And she is the most beautiful writer. I mean, it's like paragraph after paragraph of perfection. So I'm really enjoying that, but I'm 30 pages in.
I love that. Those are great recs for everybody. Give you like a couple different options for if you don't want to do a romance, because The Apology is not a romance. That's what I would warn people.
No. It's natural. It's like somebody's coming back to fix a curse. But just trust me, I'd read anything she wrote. So it's going to be fantastic.
It's an amazing rec. Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our hour, which is really sad. I was like, the one thing I hate about virtual events is that you guys can't see an audience like laughing at you. Because if you could have seen me, I was like cackling so many times over your conversations. Oh, and I forgot to mention, several readers were like, let's talk about European maternity leave. Everybody's very jealous, Lauren.
I don't have a great job. It was not very good. Don't worry.
That's a big ongoing conversation in the US, like you mentioned. So we'll leave that. But Lauren, happy Pub Day. We're so excited that Dealbreakers is out in the world for the US. Look at that cover, both behind you and that Annabelle's holding up. Such a perfect book. And if anybody has yet to read Same Time Next Summer, first of all, what rock are you living on? It's the perfect beach read. You actually have a beach involved, y'all. Like,
Thank you, Stephanie.
Read it on the beach, which our days are limited. As we said, we're in August and now. So anyways, Lauren, do you have any fun? You're going to go celebrate now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to, there'll be some wine. Yeah.
There'll be some wine.
Don't treat yourself to some axe throwing. I want to see photos of you throwing an axe.
I have it planned.
Okay.
Go on Annabelle's perfect date. Go out, have a nice meal, have a glass of wine. Tell her editor that is the idea of a good date. Support Annabelle.
If you're 700 years old, it's perfect.
Okay, we will say goodbye to everybody who's watching for now, but thank you so much. And I should mention, I congratulate Dealbreakers for being out in the world. We have copies at the bookstore. Come on in, grab them. We have copies of Fixer Upper and Dealbreakers, and we would love to sell them to you, as well as we are out of all of our signed stock for Annabelle. But we still have copies of Annabelle's books. So, and hopefully she'll come back next year and give us some more signed stock. So tell her that we want that too. Okay. Thanks so much everyone for watching. And we will be announcing some more virtual events coming up. So, I lied. We have a virtual event next Tuesday. I was like, we'll be announcing. We have a virtual next Tuesday. So you can join us here in just a week and you can watch a different group of authors having a great time. So thank you for watching.
Bye. Thank you, Stephanie. Bye, Lauren.